Thanks for logging on to myfoxhurricane.com. So we still have three areas that we're watching here. First up is Hurricane Kirk, still a very powerful major hurricane working its way through the Atlantic. Then we also have Tropical Storm Leslie, and we continue to watch now across the western and southwestern Gulf of Mexico. And this is really going to be the focus as we go through the next several days, through the weekend and into next week. Still just a very disorganized area of showers and storms. You can really see this across the western, the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. Watching for a broad area of low pressure to develop in this area, and then it's just going to slowly work its way across the Gulf of Mexico, basically right towards Florida as we head into the first part of next week. It's really, we'll watch for some development with this, regardless whether it really develops or not. It's a bunch of rain that'll be heading our way because this is not going to be a rapidly developing system. So we're not talking about a hurricane. We're not talking about any kind of devastating or strong winds or storm surge. We're talking about a bunch of rain that'll be working its way towards us. So that's at most what we're looking with this. But the rain can be an issue as well, just because we're still dealing with a lot of people recovering from Hurricane Helene. So to add rain on top of it, that becomes an issue as well. So here's a closer view, just looking at the wind field, and we're already starting to see the signs of that broad circulation down across the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. But where you see this orange shaded area, that's just the region that the Hurricane Center has highlighted for the possible development of this system as we go through the next several days. But really interesting to look at this, kind of highlighting down across the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. We've got a frontal boundary, which is to our north, and ahead of that, some very strong wind shear. Now, remember, wind shear is not something that a tropical system wants to see. They want the lighter winds in the atmosphere because they need that to really develop themselves. So as we go through time, watch what happens. This slowly works its way towards the east, but at the same time we have this frontal boundary pushing down over the southeast, bringing that stronger wind shear. So about the only area this can really thrive or really develop would be further to the south, because notice what's going right over central Florida are those stronger winds in the atmosphere. So that protects us and just doesn't allow for something to move right up over the top of us, which is certainly good news, but we're still looking at rain, which will work its way through. In fact, you look at the Fox model, here's that broad area low pressure. Here's the front working its way down into the state, and we're just talking about a bunch of tropical downpours that will continue as we head through Tuesday, Wednesday, and into Thursday likely of next week as this all slowly works its way through the area. That's why we're looking at some decent rainfall amounts, 2 to 4, and as you head further to the south, we can see across, say, Miami, down across South Florida, over towards Naples, up to 8 inches of rain is possible. So we'll continue to watch this and we'll monitor it throughout the weekend. We'll keep you updated as well. Here is Hurricane Kirk. Winds right now 140 miles an hour. It's moving to the northwest at 12 miles an hour. Now, this is a big hurricane, very powerful hurricane. The swells will eventually start to affect places like Bermuda, even though this will pass to the east of them, doing that big curve, eventually starting to weaken and transition into what we call an extratropical system. But you see where it's heading? It's heading over towards France, over towards portions of Europe as we head into the middle of next week. So even though it loses that name, it loses the tropical characteristics, we're still talking about some pretty strong winds working its way in their direction. Then we also have Tropical Storm Leslie. This storm getting better organized. Does look like it will continue to intensify, but for the time being will be working its way out over open water. So we're watching all of these areas. We're watching the Gulf of Mexico very closely as we head through the weekend. But at this point, it just really looks like a lot of rain heading in our direction as we head into the first part of next week. So we'll keep you updated right here on myfoxhurricane.com.